So now, today being the last day, I need to gallop through a little bit. Verse number 21. So, from henceforth starts the teaching of the path of the great individual. Great individual. Small individual, middling individual, great individual. Small individual means those individuals who through various means simply seek to get some kind of peace and happiness in this cycle of existence, in the samsara. Not only now, but in the future life also, you aspire, okay, I'll do all this, practice on impermanence, law of causality and so forth, so that again I obtain a human life like this. So you are still attached to the pleasures of the samsara. Middling individual means those who have turned their back against the cycle of existence and thereby stop committing negative deeds. Right? But they do not have the courage to say that I want to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Because it is easier said than done, It's very easy to say I will help all sentient beings, but when you meet 2-3 trouble some person, then I give up, That is why we have this Avalokiteshvara. I don't know how many of you are familiar. We have this Avalokiteshvara with 11 heads and 1,000 arms and eyes. You know the story? There is Avalokiteshvara means the deity of compassion. So the deity of compassion you can see in many forms, 2 arms, 4 arms. So there is one with 11 heads and 1,000 arms and eyes. So the story goes like this: that Avalokiteshvara, deity of compassion, made a promise saying that I will deliver all the suffering sentient beings from their negative existences. So he really goes and delivers some of them from that state of suffering and put it in the happier state. The next day also does like that. But it's unending. More and more people, you see, more and more people are there needing help. Then I said, impossible, I give up. So as soon as he broke that very important, that was not an easy kind of promise, big promise that he said he had made. So as soon as we say, promise brokers are better than dog, something like that, right? So as soon as he broke his promise, his head split into 11 pieces. Then the Buddha, Amitabha, he came and said, my son, don't lose your courage, don't give up. I will always be there with you. And he put these 11 broken pieces into 11 heads. And on the top you will see the head of Amitabha Buddha. So that is the story. So it's easy to say I'll help all sentient beings, but it's not easy. Easy to say, but very, very difficult to do. You see, for some people, unfortunately, the more you help them, the more demanding they are. You need to do this for me. Why are you not doing this? You see? So it's not easy. So the way to help these sentient beings is, number one, to cultivate that genuine love and affection. As I said the other day, like the parents have for their children. Generally speaking, parents have, very good love to their children. So the children may be naughty, they make a lot of, mistakes and create a lot of trouble. Still, the parents remain patient, and through many ways they try to look after them, right? In our case, we are not able to do this with people, because even when we do some study, make some promises, but deep down we have no love, as clear as that. Love minimizes fault. When you have love, you can create miracles. When that is not there, that's why in the Buddhist text it said, if you have one quality knowledge in the palm of your hand. You have all the qualities in the palm of your hand. What is that quality? Great compassion. One, if you have one quality like loving kindness or great compassion, it's almost like equal to having all the qualities. For example, compassion means, how nice if I'm able to remove the sufferings of all these sentient beings. If this is not just talking, deep down, if you have that thinking, how nice if all these sentient beings are without suffering, then how can you bully them? How can you engage in corruption? How can you cheat them? All negative deeds will automatically stop. So that clearly shows, forget about having many qualities, we don't have even one quality. So that's why the other day I was saying, if you're thirsty, you need to drink water, but not necessarily the whole ocean. Whole ocean हम लोग पी भी नहीं सकता है, पीने का ज़रूरत भी नहीं है, ठीक है ना? लेकिन इतना पीना है, but you should take that amount of, drink that amount of water, which will quench your thirst. Right? समझ में आ गया? सब कुछ समझ में आ गया? क्या समझा? पानी तो नहीं पीना जितना 50. नहीं. Did I tell you this story before? Yes. हाँ, समझ में आ गया? जी, समझ में आ गया. सब कुछ समझ में आ गया? जी, सब कुछ समझ में आ गया. क्या समझा? सर कुछ नहीं समझा. This is a story told to me by a policeman when I was a student in Dalhousie. So it stayed in my mind, So I mean, I'm making a joke, but what I'm seriously saying is, based on my own personal observation, I would not say practice, but based on my personal observation also, whether it's study of anything or Buddhist practice, study, if you practice one thing properly, many other practices will become very easy. For example, if you read these teachings by Nagarjuna to the king, whether you read this letter to the friend, or you read this Ratnavali, the precious garland, he gives a long teaching on different topics. Then in the end he says, I know you are a king, you are a very busy man. You don't have time to do all these things. All these things that I've taught, even the monks who decided to stay and practice in retreat in the mountain, in the forest, they will also be not able to practice all this that I've taught. But out of this, if, for example, if you practice one thing like giving, because you are a king, you have the capacity to give so many things. If you practice one thing like the giving, you will excel. So again, that clearly shows we are not good in even one thing. So in the system of education also, you should be good in one thing to get a good job. But if you just simply become jack of all, फायदा नहीं है, ठीक है ना? So that's why in Buddhism we repeatedly talk about concentration, right? Right? So, generating the mind, that means generating bodhicitta, is the central axle of the supreme vehicle path. Without that central axle, the wheel cannot move. So it's really the lifeline, the most important thing. Simply said, bodhicitta is a noble mind. Just not just noble mind, but the best of all the minds. There are other best minds like loving kindness, compassion, patience, so many good things. But out of all this, bodhicitta is like the king, the best of all the minds. Because it's only this mind who is making a promise saying that I will myself become Buddha to help all suffering sentient beings. In other words, I will help all these sentient beings become Buddha. That means you're deciding to make all sentient beings get the highest happiness, which is Buddhahood. Not just giving some money, not just helping here a little bit, little bit of helping is also good. But this kind of small help we have received so many times in so many lives, but still we are back to square one, where we are. So now if you really want to, make a difference, don't continue to stay in the samsara, behaving and living in the same way, then you need to be a little bit bold. May I achieve Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. All sentient beings, including your enemy. Now that is difficult, right? Including enemy. Be it your family member or your enemy in the real sense of the term. But yes, it is possible if you have the right perspective, because the so-called enemy is also doing all these bad things because of ignorance, not knowing. When people are ignorant, don't know, then not only they, kill other people, they kill themselves. People commit suicide. Anything can be done under the influence of addiction or intoxication of these negative emotions, especially ignorance. So therefore, as Aryadeva says in his 400 verses, when people are completely crazy and mad because of the influence of negative emotions, even if you are unable to cultivate compassion towards them, how come you mistreat them? At least if you see a mad person on the road, right, you will avoid and not pay much attention. If possible, try to help. But even he may be saying all the nasty things. We used to have such people in Dharamsala, who is always standing there in the road and making nasty remarks towards everybody. But nobody gets angry because they know his mind is not functioning. So similarly, when we encounter different kind of people with different, in many cases not so nice behavior, okay, his mind is not functioning. Understandable. So develop more compassion than anger or hatred. Number one. Number two, if we are to solve these multifarious problems that we see in the world, the only way, at the end of the day, the only way to solve this problem is patience, forbearance, forgiveness, understanding, loving kindness, compassion, non-violence, dialogue, negotiation. At the end of the day, these are the best solution. This is what we are constantly seeing in the world also, when two nations or three nations engage in conflict. In the beginning, the leader on both the nations, they think, okay, I'll completely destroy this nation. But then look, there's unceasing killing. Look at Russia and Ukraine now, 2 years. Middle East also already several months. Right? As I said the other day, as opposed to this, in Buddhism we say, you don't have to kill people, they will die. This is called wisdom. Really. I mean, there is no limit to ignorance. We are making such powerful destructive atom bombs to kill these fragile people. Right? Even this short life that we have, we don't know how to live together. If we know how to live together, even this short life here itself will become almost like nirvana. The possibility is there, but we are not able to do that. So therefore, individually you may not have the power to change, the world is quality to some extent crazy, but you should make it a point that you as an individual remain peaceful in all situations. Because not being peaceful, being angry, developing negative, these are not solution. It will only make the matter worse. Right? So whatever problem is there, try to deal it with calmness. It's not easy. That's why I'm saying we need to practice. That's why we talk about meditation. Meditation means not sitting in a corner, closing your eyes, and do some feel-good practices. No. Meditation means getting habituated with the positive practices, getting habituated, right? We are controlled by, as Tsongkhapa says in his, the bigger Lam Rim, he says, we are controlled by our mind. And our mind is predominantly controlled by negative emotions. Therefore, we have suffering. Therefore, now we should make our mind habituated with positive emotions. As simple as that. When we talk about meditation, it's not talking about meditating on anger or jealousy or hatred, because in those fields we are already advanced meditators. Right? So, this great Tibetan master, Shangdun, he said, there is nobody who will catch hold of your hand and throw you into heaven. There is nobody who will catch hold of your leg and drag you into hell. Somebody may be your worst enemy. He will not be able to do that. Buddha will not be able to take you to heaven. Your happiness, your suffering is in your hand. Do not cheat yourself. Such an amazing advice. So therefore, these days I am always saying, half jokingly, these are like ordinary teachings. So sometimes, I tell people, okay, now this is ordinary teaching, this is not a tantric initiation, but I am going to give you a commitment. And the commitment is, you should take this commitment saying that whatever may come in my life, I will never lose the peace of my mind. I will never be unhappy. Does it make sense? It's not easy, but that is the best solution for any problem. I will never make my mind unhappy, because being unhappy is not the solution. And the other day we read clearly, unhappiness is the food for anger. So if you keep on getting angry, you are feeding your anger. And you will become more and more angry and hot-tempered. When you are happy, you don't get angry, right? Do you get angry when you are happy? I'm so happy, I'm angry. Anybody? Nobody does that, right? As the other day I said, there's nobody who right in the morning makes a motivation, plan saying, today I will get angry. Nobody. Then also, even though you made such a motivation not to get angry in the morning, but in the course of the day you meet strange people and you get angry, sometimes even engage in physical, fight. But then having done that, at the end of the day, you return home and reflect back how you lived in your day and realize that you have fought with somebody. Again, there's nobody who will say, today I was very angry, fought with somebody, so I really enjoyed the day. Nahi hai na? And there's nobody who say, I remained angry for so many days, so my blood pressure came down. There's so many disadvantages of having these negative emotions. In economical terms, I told you, America loses billions of dollars just because of anger. Because of anger, it's not America. America, because I read that book published in America. America loses billions of dollars because of anger. Because of anger, there is fight, there is killing, there is road rage, things like that. The very nature of anger is really like a conflagration of fire. The conflagration of fire is to burn things, destroy things. Okay, we need to go quickly. Generating the mind is the central axle of the supreme vehicle path, Mahayana path. It is the foundation of the support of all expensive deeds, far-reaching, expensive means far-reaching vast deeds. If you want to do, then you should have this altruistic mind. If it is there, everything will be taken care of. Today in the world there is so much problem because these basic great human qualities like bodhicitta, compassion, love, these are missing. These are not there, right? To all instances of two accumulations, that means two accumulations means accumulation of merit and wisdom. Whether you want to accumulate, increase your wisdom, or you want to increase your merit, it is like the elixir of gold. Elixir of gold, that means, an elixir, a chemical which can transform ordinary substances into gold. So it is like that. It is the treasury of merits containing myriad collections of virtue. Recognizing these truths, the heroic bodhisattva, the bodhisattva is called the heroic because they have such a courage, such a courage by which they are able to say, I will become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. I don't have the courage to say that I'll help 20 people here. So they are really hero in the true sense of the term. In the Tibetan history, there is a line which, somebody asked, I think it's a Chinese emperor or somebody, I don't remember exactly, but somebody asked, are there many heroes in Tibet? Are there many heroes in Tibet? Then it was answered by saying, yes, we have very great hero in Tibet. Then you will think it may be like a fighter. But then the answer was, we have really great heroes like Milarepa. Really great hero. This great hero because Shantideva in his Bodhicharyavatara says, those who kill the negative emotions are real hero. But others who kill others in the war, in the conflict, is almost like killing dead person. Because you're killing somebody who is going to die. Right? So therefore, when we talk about the practice of non-violence also, the genuine non-violent practice can be done people who are really brave, who have this far-reaching, altruistic attitude. Because you are talking about facing the problems, troubles, the enemy and so forth without taking arms, like Mahatma Gandhi or His Holiness the Dalai Lama, things like that. If you resort to arms, especially these days, nuclear atom and so forth, there's no need of any courage. What you need is a little bit madness, and especially the one who is the biggest boss. He normally stays in a bunker and then pushing the button, giving the order, things like that. There's no place for heroism there, right? So they are crazy, mad, lunatics. Okay? Recognizing this too, the heroic bodhisattvas uphold the precious supreme mind, which is bodhicitta, as the heart of the practice. I, a yogi, have practiced in this manner. You who aspire for liberation, too should do likewise. Now it is easy. Not that easy, but it may be a little bit, not so difficult to cultivate bodhicitta, But having cultivated bodhicitta, cultivating bodhicitta means actually making a promise, right? I will become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, right? So that's a great promise, amazing, wonderful. But the important thing is, again, practice. If you cultivate such a mind, make such a big promise, and then if you don't practice, it's not good. So therefore, the bodhisattva's practices are 6 perfections or 10 perfections. So this will be dealt with later on. First is practice of giving, verse 23. Giving is the wish-granting jewel that satisfies the wishes of all beings. It is the best weapon to cut the constricting knots of miserliness or miserliness. Miserliness. It is an undaunted deed of the bodhisattva, giving birth to courage. It is the basis to proclaim one's fame throughout all 10 directions. That may not be your objective, but if you want to become famous, of course, you will become very famous. Now scientists, they did an experiment. Who is happier, the giver and receiver? They found, it's so interesting, they found that the giver is happier than the receiver. Because happiness means state of mind. State of mind. So, here also we need to practice, Whatever little thing you can give it to others, especially those who are in need. Especially in those cases where you have much more collection than those other people. Then share it, give it. Right now, if you share it, it's called giving because you are doing it voluntarily. At the time of when you are on your deathbed, if you say, okay, I'm going to give everything, what else you can do? What else you can do? So practice all these things while you can decide. Because at the end of the day, they will all be taken by other people. Somebody called sister, somebody called brother, somebody called government, they will take everything. Even when you are alive, much of your property is controlled by government, tax, this, that, Right? Okay? So, giving is the wish-granting jewel. Especially in the beginning of the practice, giving is very important. First give. And then people are happy with you, then help, teach. Ask them to do this practice, that practice. And then you should yourself practice. Otherwise they will say, he is saying I should practice, but he is not doing any practice, so why should I do? Right? So, there is a story of a Tibetan teacher who was also very stingy. So by reading the scriptures, he realized that he is a very stingy person. Then he wanted to give something, start giving something, but he could not give anything to other people. So he started taking things from the left hand, giving it to the right hand. So you can do that also. If you can't give it to others, give it to yourself. Right hand giving to the left hand giving to the right. Through that way he is mentally exercising how to give. Then later on he become a great practitioner. Right? So we have no time to explain in detail, otherwise there are a lot of explanations about what to give, when to give, to whom to give, so many things. Okay? Knowing this, the learned ones seek the excellent path of giving away entirely their body, wealth and virtues. Now we cannot give body right now because we are mentally not prepared. When you are mentally not prepared, don't engage in this task. It's like replace, believe it or not. Okay, dangerous. Don't do it in your home. Sometimes they say things like that. So you can't do this. Wealth you can give. Virtue you can give. Giving virtue is very good because you give but you don't lose anything. For example, I'm supposed to be giving this teaching for the last few days. I did not lose anything. I gained more. My knowledge increased, not decreased. But in the case of material wealth, if I give you something, if I give this watch to you, then I am without watch. You got one, but I lost my watch. So therefore, giving education is really, really important, very important. Not only just Dharma teaching, but giving education, helping those people who are in need of education. That is how you can make your country really grow. In India also, it's a big country, we really need to, do some very strong, there are many, but still, we need to do more outreach programs, especially in those backward, poor areas, whatever we can do, this is the way. Second perfection is morality, which I have already explained. Shila bolki maine aapko bol diya tha. Morality is the water, it's like the water that washes off the stains of ill deeds. It is the cooling moonlight, it's like the cooling moonlight dispelling the burning agony of afflictions. In the midst of people, it is most majestic like the Mount Meru. Meaning that if you're a moral person, ethical person, then if you're among many people, everybody will respect you. He's such a reliable, honest, nice person, and you also you don't have any kind of ill intention, so everybody will bow down to you. Right? If you're very, very rich, They'll only come to you with the hope that they'll be able to get some money from there, but they don't. They really have respect from the depth of their heart. So these two different things, right? In the midst of people, it is most majestic, like the Mount Meru. It draws together all beings without any display of force. See, when you use force, police force, army force, still people are fighting against the injustice of the government or whatever. They constantly do that. But if you are a moral person, it draws together all beings without any display of force. His Holiness the Dalai Lama is an example. He is not using any force. He doesn't have any military force, army force, but thousands and thousands of people are coming from all corners of the world to see him. He's also not just distributing money. He's distributing money, then people will come. But because of his genuine, sincere wish to help others, because of his compassionate attitude, everybody sees him the real father figure. Right? There's the thing. There's the thing. It's amazing. So these inner qualities, once you develop these inner qualities, nobody can steal it from you. Thieves cannot steal it from you. Robbers cannot rob these things from you. Right? Income tax people will also not come after you. The money, yes, we all need money, but if you are not very careful, फिर कौन आएगा? ED, CIA, आजकल बहुत चर्चा हो रहा है ना. All these people will be after you. Huh? Justified, not justified, I don't know, but there's a likelihood of all these people prying in your account. You know, कितना पैसा निकाला, कितना डाला, सब पता है उनको. Knowing this, the sublime ones guard as if they would their eyes, protect, just like protecting their eyes, the perfect disciplines which they have chosen to adopt. I, a yogi, have practiced in this manner. You who aspire for liberation too should be likewise. So, in a way, this is almost like a sarcastic remark. Of course, he is not making a sarcastic remark, because if you aspire, you who aspire for liberation, if you aspire for liberation, you need to practice this. If you don't aspire for liberation, it's up to you. Almost, to me, it's almost sounding like that. Then third is patience. Now I'm not sure whether you use the word patience or forbearance. There are a lot of discussion, because as and when we use different, terms, for example, this is an English term. The whole translation is in English. So all these English terms, they are born and brought up in a different cultural background. So they have their loads to carry. So it's difficult to find which really conveys exactly the same meaning. So many translators use the word patience, some forbearance. Now there's also possibility of understanding. There is also possibility of a little bit like resilience, So all these sister words or similar words, you should study and see which one is the best. Okay. So with the giving, actually there are three types of giving. One is giving material things. Second is giving teaching. Third is giving fearlessness. Giving fearlessness means if somebody has fear, if an insect is drowning, has a lot of fear, if you save that, then you are giving fearlessness. Okay. Now with morality, first is restraining from negative deeds. Don't do anything that is negative. Second is collecting good qualities. In other words, don't do anything bad, do everything that's good, and the end purpose is helping sentient beings. So three types of morality: restraining negative deeds, collecting positive deeds, and helping others. If you're helping others, you are a moral person. So moral person doesn't mean that he sits somewhere, not talking, moving very slowly, look very calm and peaceful. Not like that. It is through your deed. If you are restraining negative deeds, you are practicing morality. If you are collecting virtuous qualities, you are practicing morality. If you are helping others, you are practicing morality. So this should be understood in its wider perspective circle. And then forbearance is the supreme ornament of those who have power. See? Those who have power. Meaning, the real patience, practice of patience and forbearance must be practiced by those who have the power. Of course, we all have to practice, but it should be practiced especially by those who have the power. Now, in my institute, I have around 60 people working under me. Okay, because I'm the boss, so I can exercise my power, and they will remain patient. They will practice forbearance, but that is not genuine patience and genuine forbearance because they have to obey me. But if they say something nasty to me, and if I remain patient, that is practice of patience. When you have the capacity to, bully or whatever you can do to the lower people who are helpless, if you practice that, then that is patience, genuine practice of patience. Forbearance is the supreme ornament of those who have power, that is the meaning. It is the greatest fortitude against the agonies of afflictions. So that means, as we already discussed, if you don't have patience, you can't achieve anything in this world. Farmers will not be able to cultivate the field because they will give up saying it's too hot. Fishermen will not be able to catch any fish because they will say, I've been sitting here for so long, no fish is coming, so I give up. So they need patience. Business people also need patience. The pan wala ko dekho, look at those people who sell pan and little bit of cigarette, they have a house little like, just you manage to sit there and then sit the whole day like this. Nobody imprisoned him. Patience say, Against its enemy, the snake of head, it is a Garuda cruising the sky. So snake and this mythical bird, Garuda, said to be enemy to each other, and then the snake is said to be easily, killed by the Garuda. So patience is really like the Garuda, and your anger is like the snake. So therefore, those people who are repeatedly angry, we call them snake. Against the weapon of harsh words, it is the strongest armor. People use harsh words, You normally, when people say something good, you feel very happy. When people say a little bit nasty, you get upset and get angry. This should not be there. Because if people are saying bad things, then you should think, okay, they are saying bad things to me, but I have many people who are saying good things to me also. When people are saying good things to you, don't get too excited because there are many people who are saying bad things also. So therefore, your mind should not be like a cotton. You should not be like, should not act like a puppet. You are not here to cater to the needs of people. What he is saying, what she is saying. If I walk this way, what she will say. If I wear this cloth, what he will say. Don't get lost in what people say, what people think. Right? The important thing is you should live your life in such a way that you are upright, honest, straightforward, nothing to hide. Then let people bakwas karne do, jo bolna bol do. ठीक है ना? बकता रहेगा लोग. Against the weapon of harsh word, it is the strongest armor. Knowing this, we should habituate ourselves with the armor of excellent forbearance by all possible means. Now, if you want to know these things detail, then read the commentaries in Shantideva's Bodhicharya Avatara. Luckily, many of these larger texts are now also available in English. So don't just wait for a discourse by another teacher next time. Get some of these books and read. Knowing this, we should habituate ourselves with the armor of excellent forbearance by all possible means. I, a yogi, have practiced in this manner. You who aspire for liberation too should do likewise. Now next is, again, some people use the word effort. Here he has used the word perseverance. If the armor of unflinching perseverance is worn, knowledge of scripture and realization increases like waxing moon. So that means in your study, in your spiritual practice, if you have perseverance and if you make effort, your knowledge will increase like waxing moon. If you are lazy, you will not achieve, again you will not make any progress. Laziness means many types. One is, laziness means laziness, that is just sitting there not doing anything. That we all understand. The second type of laziness is not just sitting there not doing anything, but not doing the good thing, but doing the bad thing. For example, if you are to read a text like this, then if you postpone reading this text by saying, first I have to watch the movie, 3-hour movie, you are attached to inferior things. That's also called laziness. Right? And then another laziness is laziness of postponement. Yes, I need to do this, but I will do this when I have done all my work in the office. Huh? There is a story of a teacher and a student, Tibetan story. So the student was, as young people do, was dying to go for a picnic. So he requested his teacher, shall we go for a picnic? Then the teacher says, no, you have to study first. When we have finished all our work, then we can go for a practice. Time passes. Then after a while, the student again says, shall we go for a picnic? No, right now, you should study, we are busy. When we finish our work, when you finish your study, then we go for a picnic. So one day, from a distance, a group of people were carrying a dead body. The teacher, because of his age, maybe failing eyesight, could not see what is happening. He said, what is happening there? Then the student said, oh, there is a man who has finished all his work and now going for picnic. so it's like that, you see. So if you say, I'll practice these things when I have done all my other activities, it means you have not much interest. I remember very well once when His Holiness the Dalai Lama was giving a teaching in the temple to a group of people from France. I was then not his translator. I was there attending the teaching. So during the question hour session, a French lady got up and she said, Your Holiness, your teaching is so good, but in the West we are so busy. How can we practice? Then His Holiness said, it's up to you whether you want to do your practice or not. So first I thought, Your Holiness, you are a little bit blunt today. But he was not blunt. He was really saying the right thing. Then he explained it by saying, if you're really interested, if you think this is useful, you have to find time. You see, in the West it's a common sight that they are very busy, but they manage to take the hamburger and the cup and while walking, eating, So you can do it, you see. So the problem is we always think that, okay, this practice is, just by reading this Lam Rim, my salary will not increase. I'm not going to get any money or any gift for this, so I'll do it when I have time, This is the problem. The most important thing, you leave it as something that should be done at the last when you have nothing else to do. And then baki jo things that are not important, you are engrossed, Be it with the mobile phone or whatever you're in. Moon latka के रात देर तक बैठता है ना, ठीक है ना? Right? Knowledge of the scripture and realization, to have knowledge is one thing, then through practice develop realization is second thing. All this will increase like waxing moon. All conducts become fused with good purpose. And whatever initiatives we may begin succeeds. as hoped for. Whatever, not just dharma thing. हम लोग बोलते हैं ना हिंदी में लगन से करने से बोलते हैं ना, लगन से करने से. Knowing this, the bodhisattva apply great waves of effort which help to dispel all forms of laziness, which I have already explained. I, a yogi, have practiced in this manner. You who aspire for liberation too should do likewise. The next is called concentration. Concentration is the king that reigns over the mind. When left, it is as unwavering as the king of mountains. When set forth, it engages with all objects of virtue. It induces the great bliss of serviceable body. So this is basically saying when you train your mind, then gradually the mind becomes so obedient and serviceable. If you say, okay, focus on compassion, the mind will say, yes, sir, and stay there like a mountain. That is what he's saying. Right? Concentration is the king that reigns over the mind. When left, it is as unwavering as the king of mountain. When left basically means when the mind is asked to stay on a particular object, it will stay there unwavering, unmoving like a mountain, undistracted. When set forth means when you ask the mind to do something else, again it will say, yes sir. Okay, you've been meditating on compassion enough, now patience. Yes sir. Now wisdom. Yes sir. Right? When set forth, it engages with all objects of virtue, wherever you ask him to do. It induces the great bliss of serviceable of body and mind. That's the main purpose. So through such training, gradually your body and mind becomes serviceable. Other English word that we can use is the mind becomes pliant, supple, pliant, supple. Okay? Serviceable body and mind. Right now it's not serviceable. If you sit for meditation a few minutes, your meditation will not go on the object on which you are supposed to meditate, but your mind will go onto your knees. You will be focusing on your knees, or you'll be back. So gradually it will become serviceable. Knowing this, the great accomplished yogis constantly apply meditations, destroying the enemy of distraction. Destroying the enemy of distraction. I need to say this few times. Destroying the enemy of distraction, especially in today's world. We are pulled into all directions, particularly in today's world. There's so much distraction. So how can you concentrate when your mind is completely distracted into all kind of things that you see, that you hear, that you feel, form, smell, taste, touch, so many things. Wisdom is the eye. Next is, I, a yogi, have practiced in this manner. You who aspire for liberation too should do likewise. Next, sixth is wisdom. Wisdom is the eye that sees the profound suchness, which means emptiness, the way things are. It is the path eradicating cycle existence from its very root. We discussed this already. The root of cycle existence is ignorance. And it is this wisdom which removes this ignorance. Now here, when we say ignorance as the root of cycle existence, we are just not talking about ignorance which is just lack of knowledge, but we are talking about misconception of reality. The ignorance which we are saying is the root cause of samsara is not just lack of knowledge, but misconception of reality. If it's just lack of knowledge, it is a kind of ignorance which is just lack of knowledge, then it's easy to remove. For example, if somebody is just unaware about anything, just ignorant, you can explain, he will accept. But contrary to that, if it is ignorant, which is based on misconception of reality, so it's misconception, but you have some reasons behind it. It may be wrong reason, but still you will try to defend it. That's what happens many a times, So that's very dangerous. So therefore, the ignorance which is said to be the root of cycle existence is seeing things as having independent existence. Here ignorance means seeing things as having independent existence. Now this ignorant mind will try to defend this thesis. If you say there's nothing that is independent existence, then they will say, what do you mean? Things exist. Things exist means they exist independently. You never say, they are all there from their own side. See, are you crazy? It will come up with this kind of reason, Are you crazy? They are all independently existing here, sitting here, talking to you, listening to you. So they will come up with this kind of false reasoning, which is not that easy to remove it. So the only way to remove it is use the wisdom that sees the truth as it is. You can prove it. Now the best point that I'm going to make you, how you can prove it is, for example, many of you have heard this before, some may not have heard it. At the corner of this room, okay, in other words, I'll tell you this is the story, the ancient Indian story. There was one Guruji who was giving some teaching at the bank of a river to some students. He was giving a teaching. And after the teaching was over, he asked one of his students, okay, take this and put it on the table in my living room. The boy says, yes, sir. He goes and he comes back scared, fearful, saying, Guruji, I can't go there in your living room because at the foot of the table there is a snake lying there. Then Guruji says, okay, no, don't worry, I'll give you a mantra to recite. Keep on reciting this mantra, then the snake will run away. So he does the same thing. He kept on reciting this mantra, goes there, the snake doesn't move, it's still there. So he came back, said, Guruji, I cannot go there, snake is still there. Then the Guruji gave him a lamp, bati, light. He said, take this. When he took this and went there was no snake, it was a coil of rope. The coil of rope, because the light was not so clear, dim, little bit dim, so when there is dimness of the light and then there is a coil of rope which really looks like, the manner it is lying there looks like a snake, because of that you thought this is a snake. There is no snake. But because of lack of that light and the way it is existing there, you thought there is a snake and you develop an equal amount of fear as if there is a real snake. That's what I'm saying. There's no snake. But because of lack of light, so similarly in our actual world also, much of the fear that we have in the world today is because of lack of light of wisdom. You are not able to see the things as they are, and you see it some different way, and you get scared. This is such a wonderful example. So much of the problem, unfortunately, much of the problem, suffering, fear that we have is, in a way, unnecessary problem created by ignorant human mind. So we can safely say much of the suffering that we have in the world today is in a way unnecessary suffering because these are essentially created by human beings. So we can through such knowledge and practice we can reduce, even if you are unable to stop many of these natural disasters, natural calamities, but you can reduce man-made sufferings, right? That is the point. Okay. It is the path eradicating cycle existence from its very root. Why you should remove it from very root? Because if you just cut some branches and leaves, it will not solve the problem. The poisonous tree will again grow. So therefore, if you really want, we all agreed right in the beginning, we all want permanent, long-lasting happiness. If you want long-lasting happiness, then you need to remove the root cause of unhappiness, the samsara, from its very root. That's what he's saying. It is a treasury of higher qualities that are praised in all scriptures. It is praised in, not only praised in all Buddhist scriptures, but it is now highly praised in the scientific world also. Because in science also we are talking about quantum physics, we are talking about relativity, general and specific theory of relativity, things like that. Right? Now we are talking about artificial intelligence and things like that. Still we are using the word intelligence, you see. But that name itself shows it is artificial, artificial intelligence. So when we have this capacity to develop the genuine intelligence, why should we go too much after artificial intelligence? We are talking about artificial intelligence because we are unable to develop the genuine intelligence. And why we are unable to develop genuine intelligence? Because genuine intelligence is something that you can't see directly, it's the inside thing. And we are susceptible to seeing things that are concrete, made from technology and things. Then you can see, oh, it's going, moving, things like that. So basically, in a way, we are fooling ourselves. And we are not really finding the real solution. Right? Praised in all scriptures. Because who will not, praise the truth? It is known as the supreme lamp dispelling darkness of delusion. Knowing this, the learned ones who aspire the liberation endeavor with multiple efforts, not just one effort, multiple efforts to cultivate this path. And the best effort is, if you want to understand emptiness, understand it through the understanding of dependent origination. Things are interconnected, things are interdependent. Therefore, there is no independent existence. That is emptiness. So without starting from interconnected reality, if you simply straight away jump into emptiness, you might fall into nihilism. There is a risk, right? So therefore, endeavor with multiple efforts to cultivate this path. I, a yogi, have practiced in this manner. You who aspire for liberation, too should do likewise. Now, both of this, the one-pointed meditation and wisdom are important, but they must support each other. That is what is said in the following lines. In a mere one-pointed concentration, I fail to see the potency to cut the root of cyclic existence. That means one-pointed concentration is very important, as we already read. But that alone has no capacity to cut the root of ignorance. Why? Because ignorance is misconception of reality. Misconception of reality can be removed by right conception, right wisdom that knows the reality, not just one-pointed meditation. That's the meaning. In a mere one-pointed concentration, I fail to see the potency to cut the root of cyclic existence. Yet, if that is supported with wisdom, and not also, although if you have wisdom but no one-pointed, ness, that will also not solve the problem. Yet with wisdom devoid of the path of tranquil abiding, that means one-pointed meditation, no matter how much one may probe, the afflictions will not be overcome. So the point is, both are necessary. One-pointed meditation and wisdom, both are necessary. They should support each other. So this wisdom, decisively penetrating the true mode of being, the learned ones saddle it astride the horse of unwavering calm abide. So that means wisdom is like the person who mounts on the horse. And one-pointedness is really like the horse. So it is the person who mounts on the horse and then reaches to the desired destination. So this wisdom, decisively penetrating this wisdom which penetrates into the where things are, the learned ones saddle it astride the horse of unwavering calm abiding, which means one-pointed meditation. And with the sharp weapon of reasoning, that is wisdom, of the middle way, free of extremes. If you have this middle way wisdom, you will not fall into the extreme of permanence and extreme of nihilism. Together, they dismantle all locus of objectification of the mind, grasping at extremes. With such expansive wisdom that probes with precision, it's like a laser beam. The learned ones enhance the wisdom, realizing the suchness. I, a yogi, have practiced in this manner. You who aspire for liberation too should do likewise. What need is there? Say that through one-pointed cultivation, absorption is realized. Through discriminative awareness, probing with precision as well, one can abide one unwavering and utterly stable upon the true mode of being. So that means basically one-pointed meditation means just one-pointed. Wisdom means analytical meditation, right? But when you have a kind of when you are well trained in this art of one-pointed analytical meditation, that analytical meditation itself will help you achieve one-pointed meditation. Helping each other. है ना? है ना? Okay. That's what he's saying. Probing with precision as well, one can abide unwavering and utterly stable upon the true mode of being. Wondrous are those who see this and strive for the union of calm abiding insight. Calm abiding is one point of meditation. Insight is analytical meditation or wisdom. I, a yogi who practice in this manner, you who aspire for liberation too should do likewise. The space like emptiness of meditative equipoise. Space like emptiness. Emptiness is like space. A question was asked to the Buddha by somebody saying that, how would you explain emptiness? Then the Buddha said, emptiness is like the space. How? When we say space, it's nothing but free of obstruction. So similarly, emptiness is nothing but free of independent existence. Right? The space like emptiness of meditative equipoise and the illusion like emptiness of the subsequent realization. So that means during there is a meditative session and post-meditative session. During meditative session, that emptiness is really like space. Now, for example, if you meditate on space, how would it be like? It will be really like mixing your mind with space, nothing else. So your meditation on emptiness is also exactly like that. So during meditative session, your mind is totally one, focus with shunyata. Nothing else comes in your mind. Right? And then during the post-meditative session, the purpose of meditative session is that experience that you gain during the meditative session must affect during your post-meditative session. If that is not there, it will not be very effective. So during the post-meditative session and the illusion like emptiness of the subsequent realization, that means during the post-meditative session, when you see things, earlier when you did not meditate on emptiness, when you see things, oh, this is so beautiful. Oh, this is so good. This is so I wish I have this car. I wish this house. You develop very strong attachment. You tend to see things as having independent, inherent existence, things like that, right? Now, if you have meditated on emptiness, then when you get up from that meditation and then go to the market and see different things, however shiny, glamorous they are, you will say, okay, sab khokla hai. These are all devoid of any essence. That is what we need. Then there will be no grasping or craving, or at least less grasping and craving. So in this way, your 24 hours of life is then directed towards that meditation on shunyata, whose purpose is to lessen the bondage in the samsara. Praised are those who cultivate them and bind together, put them together, influence together, the method and wisdom, and travel beyond the bodhisattva deeds. It is the way of the fortunate ones to realize this and not to be content with partial paths. Many of us, when we learn a little bit good things, then we think this is everything. Partial practice is good, but it will not take you anywhere. Right? So you should have this full understanding. Partial paths. I, a yogi, have practiced in this manner. You who aspire for liberation too should do likewise. Thus, having cultivated as they are thus having cultivated as they are the common paths, essential for the two supreme paths of causal and resultant great vehicle. So, causal vehicle means the Sutrayana that we have been discussing so far. Resultant great vehicle means the tantric path. So, when you have cultivated all the preliminary common paths, which is necessary both for the sutric practice and both all the tantric practice, then I have entered the great ocean of Tantra. Only after that, then you enter into the tantric practice. The common paths that is necessary for the sutric practice is also necessary for the tantric practice. So don't think that when you do this tantric practice, you don't need bodhicitta, you don't need understanding on impermanence. It's not like that. These common practices are necessary for both the sutric path and tantric path. So when you have collected all these common paths, then Tsongkhapa says, I've entered the great ocean of Tantra. In your case, you should enter the ocean of Tantra by relying upon the leadership of the learned navigation. The leadership of learned navigation means when you, in general, you need a good teacher, right? Especially when you do tantric practice, then you need a qualified teacher. Because here in this case, you're really making this bond and saying somebody as your guru. Because it is from this teacher you receive the abhishek, tantric initiation and empowerment. So the bond is made. And you should not make this bond easily. And through application of the quintessential instructions taught in Tantra, I have made meaningful human existence. This is how you can make your human life meaningful, that I have obtained. I, a yogi, have practiced in this manner. You who aspire for liberation too should do likewise. In order to make familiar, then finally, as a sign of humility, he says, I have written this primarily in order to make familiar to my own mind and to also help benefit fortunate others like you all here as well. I have explained here in words easy to understand in its entirety the path that pleases the Buddhas, the path that pleases the Buddha. So this is really like this Lam Rim is really like the road map. If you come from, say, from Dharamsala to Delhi, there's a road map. Similarly, all right. So therefore, you should have this proper understanding of the whole outline. Through this virtue, may all beings be never divorced from the perfectly pure, excellent path. Thus I pray. He says, by writing this text, normally, it is the way of a Buddhist practitioner. Whatever little practice they do, whether it's a recitation of mantra or writing a book or giving a teaching, at the end they dedicate that virtue for the benefit of all sentient beings. So therefore he is saying, through this virtue, may all beings be never divorced from the perfectly pure, excellent path. This is very powerful teaching. Most of us are divorced from this path. If you don't have the luck, you don't meet such teachings. And people will not know anything about it. There are so many religions in the world, Everybody, all the religions and the teachers are singing praises of their own religion, things like that, Right? So there are not many who, enters into such a path. Thus I pray. I, a yogi, have made aspirations in this manner. You who aspire for liberation too should pray likewise. So this finishes this longer text. So let us read the shorter text. In the case of the shorter text, we finish on page 3. Let us read from page 3. Seeking samsaric pleasure is the door to all suffering. They are uncertain and cannot be relied upon. Recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me to generate the strong wish for the bliss of liberation. So this is talking about the path common to the middling individual. It's talking about liberation. Led by this pure thought to get away from samsara, mindfulness, alertness, and great caution arise. So that this is very important. These three things, mindfulness, alertness, and great caution, these three must be your companion in your spiritual practice. Mindfulness means you are being able to focus on the object. not to forget the object of practice. Then alertness means to see whether your mind is wandering away from that or not. And then great caution means to see whether you are doing positive practices or negative practices. So these things, three things are like the watchdogs in your practice. So they are very important. If you want to know detail about this, read Shantideva's Bodhicharyavatara. The root of the teachings is keeping the Pratimoksha vows. Pratimoksha vows basically means the vows that will help you get liberated from samsara and achieve nirvana. But this is called Pratimoksha because in English it is called individual liberation. Because the target is to achieve liberation just for yourself. It's not talking about enlightenment. Okay? Please bless me to accomplish this essential practice. Just as I fall in, then the bodhicitta and others that we already discussed. So achieving liberation for oneself is important. But the next one says, if you just think about liberation for yourself and not about others, you are a little bit selfish still. Achieving nirvana is great, but still you are selfish because you have forgotten the needs of others. So the next verse says, just as I have fallen into the sea of samsara, so have all mother migratory beings. Please bless me to see this and train in supreme bodhicitta and bear the responsibility of freeing migratory beings. So, the words, different translators use different words. So basically it's talking about freeing the suffering beings. And then he says, as I already mentioned, developing bodhicitta is important, but if you don't practice, it has no meaning. So even if I develop only bodhicitta, but I don't practice the three types of morality, I will not achieve enlightenment. With my clear recognition of this, please bless me to practice the bodhisattva vows with great energy. Okay? So now here he says, but if I don't practice the three types of morality, which I've already explained while I was explaining morality, here he's speaking only about morality, not about the rest of the perfections, because some of these are coming later, concentration and wisdom are coming later, right? And then in a way it is inclusive with this practice of morality also. So he's not explaining all the six perfections. So without that I will not achieve enlightenment. With my clear recognition of this, please bless me to practice the bodhisattva vows with great energy. Once I have pacified the distractions to so now this is talking about one-pointed concentration. If once I have pacified the distraction, that means if I calmed down the distraction to wrong objects and corrected analyzing the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate quickly within my mind stream the unified path of calm abiding and special insight, which we discussed already. One-pointed meditation and wisdom. Having become a pure vessel by training the general path, which is necessary both for the sutric practice and tantric practice, as we explained. So when you have, collected those common preliminary paths, please bless me to enter the holy gateway of the fortunate ones, the supreme Vajra vehicle, which is tantric vehicle. So if you want to receive, enter into tantric practice, you need to receive tantric initiation from a qualified teacher. So receiving tantric initiation basically is really like the enthronement of Indian Prime Minister, for example, or President. Okay? So if somebody is enthroned as Prime Minister, the one day before that enthronement, the same person, before he was enthroned as Prime Minister, and next day when he is enthroned as a Prime Minister, between this one night, in terms of his personal qualification, there will hardly be any difference. I don't think there will be any difference, right? But it is the recognition, that is given, which will makes that person very powerful. So initiation, empowerment is like that. Abhishek, in Hindi we call it Abhishek, it's like that. The Guru giving you the power to practice. Yes, okay, you have all the needed preliminary practices. Now you can enter into tantric practice. Okay? The Supreme Vajra vehicle. At this time, the basis of accomplishing the two attainments is keeping pure vows and samaya. So when you enter into tantric practice, then there are, and at that time, the basis of it, the reason that you are entering into tantra and receiving tantric empowerment is so that you are able to achieve the two attainments, which is supreme attainment, which is becoming Buddha, and common attainments, like you are being able to make yourself invisible, fly, many activities are there to benefit others primarily. Okay? So if you want to achieve those common and supreme attainments, then you must give pure vows and samaya, pledges. There are vows and pledges to be observed after receiving the tantric initiation. This must be practiced. As I have become firmly convinced of this, please bless me to protect these vows and pledges like my life. Then, having realized the importance of the two stages, now in the tantric practice, especially now here we are talking about the highest tantra, in which there are two stages, which is called generation stage and completion stage. Okay? Generation stages, you visualize yourself gradually and imagine yourself as a deity. Okay? Completion stage means you visualize that all the special features and qualities of enlightened beings are there. They are all complete there with you, things like that, which is the essence of Vajrayana. By practicing with great energy, never giving up on the 4 sessions of practice. So once you receive this tantric initiation, then there are certain commitments, 4 sessions, sometimes 6 sessions you need to practice. Please bless me to realize the teachings of the Holy Guru. Like that, may the Gurus who show then finally, this is your final prayer. Like that, may the Gurus who show the noble path and the spiritual friends like you who practice it, may you all live long. So, he is also talking about take good care of your health. If you want to do this important practice, the first thing is you need to take good care of your health also. Okay? Long life, in that sense. If you are somebody who doesn't care about this practice and want to do all the nasty things, then normally there is a Tibetan saying which says, may the sinners have short life. Especially the leaders in the world, who are doing all nasty things, may they have a short life. No problem. No problem. Right? Never long lives. Please bless me to pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. So that means when you do such a practice, then there will be external obstructions, internal obstructions, obhyata self. So you are also saying, may when I do this practice, please all these external and internal obstructions, hindrances do not come. Okay? In all my lives, never separate from perfect Guru, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma. By contemplating the qualities of the stages and path, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Right? Oh, so I stop here. Give you okay. Questions? Yes.
Small question from verse 40.
Yeah.
When it says, I'm sorry, in verse 40 when it says travel beyond the bodhisattva deeds, when you travel beyond the bodhisattva deeds, does that mean you've achieved Buddhahood? What does beyond the bodhisattva deeds mean? The line is, praise are those who cultivate...
Which verse?
Verse 40 on page 14.
Verse 40.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I don't know the translation, but it basically says, when you engage in this space like meditation on emptiness, and then during the subsequent stage of meditation, you see everything like an illusion. So through this kind of meditation, when you are able to unify the method and wisdom, then you transcend the bodhisattva path, which means yes,
Buddha.
becoming Buddha, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it was a brilliant teaching. Would you do us another workshop where we through the experience.
Meditation karo abhi. Yeah, good reminder. Let us meditate for somebody also earlier requested me. So the one, many people are interested in meditation. But as I told you earlier, meditation basically means getting habituated. Habituated with what? Virtuous practices. It's not sitting in a corner and do some feel-good practices. That's more important. Many people don't talk about this. Okay? That's very, very important. And then if you want to do, you can do. Observe all the 7, 8 Vairocana postures. We can do that also, if you feel like doing it. Put your hand like this, left hand below, right hand on the top, and then make a triangular shape and bring it to the navel, and the two, top thumbs touching each other. The tip of that should be at the level of the navel. Put it at the level of the navel. So when you do that, it will straighten you up automatically. Then, although you're straightening your back is important, but don't become rigid. The purpose of meditation is for relaxation, not for rigidity. Relax, shoulders should be relaxed, and also shoulders should not be touching like this. Ventilation is necessary. Air must go in between this, because if you do long meditation, there may be perspiration, sweating, things like that. And then you let your tongue touch the upper palate gently. This will help you not to get thirsty if you do long meditation, and will also help you not to have your saliva fall out. And then your eyes should gaze a little bit towards the tip of the nose. No need to make effort to try to see the tip of the nose, because some people have flat nose, so they have great difficulty. so anyway, let your eye fall towards that. Okay? And then there is a question about what should be the posture of the eye, if it should be open or closed. Some people say it should be closed. Most of the people, they say it should be closed. Why they say it should be closed? Because when you close your eye, you don't see many things, so it looks like it is helping your concentration. But in which case, I would say, then you close your ear also. Close everything. Close your mouth also. Everything. So for me, I would not say close your eye completely. So maybe a middle way. A little bit closed, okay? Not completely closed. Because if it is possible, then right in the beginning, even with eyes open, the mind should not be distracted towards what the eye is seeing, what the ear is hearing. It should be able to focus on the object. The object means not the object the eye is seeing. The object means the mental image. For example, earlier if you have seen the image of the Buddha, so before you meditate, you see clearly, the image of the Buddha. Okay, you don't have to try to see all the details, which is almost impossible. Just a rough, picture of that image. And then after that, meditate on that mental reflection, mental image of the picture. Right? So actually, it's not what you are seeing right now, mental image. So when you become really good in meditation, then whatever goes in front of you, whatever sounds there, you will not get distracted. That's what is needed. Contrarily, if you close your eye, then as I said, one, you need to close everything. Then second, when you go to the market, will you go with your eyes closed? Meditation is there even when you go into the market. Mindfulness is needed when you even go to the market, So your eye, of course, has to be open, otherwise you will fall, But your mind should be able to remain focused. Kya kar raha hai, what I am doing, what I should not be doing. It should be watchful, alert. That must be there. As we already discussed, meditation should be there. both during the meditative session and the post-meditative session. That's important, right? And then the shoulders, not lopsided like this, on equal level, and then your head should not be up like this. It is said if you meditate like this, it will produce arrogance. Arrogant people go like this, right? And also don't bend too down, then you will fall asleep, it will produce ignorance. And also not too much on the left side, it will produce attachment. Not too much on the right side, it will produce anger. So scientifically see whether there is any connection with this. I read this, there are many scriptures which I didn't read, but among the scriptures I read, there's one scripture which talks about this. I've seen this. Right? So observe these postures. Right? And then your legs, if possible, full cross-legged, if not possible, half cross-legged. Right? And then to start with, maybe you meditate on your breath. Imagine your eye is at the in between the two nostrils, watching the breath. When the breath goes out, go with it. When it comes in, come with it. Right? So going exhalation, inhalation. One exhalation, inhalation, we count it as one. And make sure that your mind is not getting distracted. If it gets distracted, then you have to start all over again. It's not easy. You get very easily distracted. That you will know only when you start meditating. When you start meditating, you will be shocked and surprised to see how many thousand things are coming in your mind, uncalled for things are coming in your mind. That's why one of my Western friend, Western nun, she said, Geshe, before I meditated, I was a nice person. After I meditated, I become a bad person. That is not true, but because before she meditated, like any one of us, before she meditated, she didn't care about who is coming, who is going. That's what we do in our life, in our mind. Kya ho raha, kya nahi ho raha. And whatever is coming, so this is normal. Now through meditation, you have at least seen who is coming, who is not coming. Then you will find distractions and so many negative things are coming. Now you have to say, no. Aapko nahi bulaya maine. I have not invited you. So instead of this negative emotions, distractions, now you have to start inviting love, compassion, forbearance, what are good things. You should in fact say, sorry, until now I did not see your greatness. Now I saw you, I want to make friendship with you. Please come, stay if possible forever. When negative emotions come, you should say, gone are the days when you cheated me. At that time I was not knowing anything about Dharma. Now I know who you are. You stupid anger. You cunning attachment, whatever. So say no. And then put this mindfulness, conscientiousness, etc. as the guard, as the sentinel. Not let them. That is called practice. The other day, as I said, dethroning the negative emotions, enthroning the positive emotions. So many people ask the question, how should we practice? This is the practice. There is nothing else. There are many this, that, meditation, mantra, and so many things, but at the end of the day, the main thing is how much you are able to focus in cultivating the positive emotions, how much you are able to focus in removing and lessening the negative emotions. If you are doing this, people also ask me, how can you rate your success? You can rate your success if your negative emotions are much less, then you are successful. Positive emotions are much more, you are successful. There's no need other people to come and recognize you and enthrone you saying you are very successful. You will know it. And then by that, of course, you will get the benefit. Right? Yeah, so this you should do. Yeah.
Buddhist theory of karma, is it the same as the Hindu karmic theory of
There is a lot of similarity, but the difference is because Buddha learnt many of his teachings from the sadhus living at that time, and so much so some people even say Buddha was a born Hindu, lived as Hindu, died as Hindu. That may or may not be true, but he definitely learnt so many things from those living masters at that time. But he was not satisfied. He learnt so many things, but he said there should be more. Therefore, there's no concept of creation, number one. So therefore, there's no punishment. It's karma and fall, your own doing things and their result. There's nobody up there, punishing you. Okay. You some questions? Yeah. Yeah.
Very namaste. So I have no question, but just wanted to apologize for one thing. Yesterday when I was sitting here, I was listening to you for no reason at all. I said in my mind bad things to you 3 times. So I just came here to apologize for that.
Your mind what?
Okay, so I said bad things to you 3 times yesterday sitting here in my mind.
To me, your mind.
Yeah,
Your mind.
In my mind I said bad things to you, so I came here to apologize for that.
No, I didn't recognize, so no problem. And nobody can stop you what thinking comes,
Yeah, thank you so much, Geshe. My question is about 3 stages of person and transformation. How does the transformation happen? Gradually or suddenly?
Gradually. That's why the very title is called Stages of the Path. Stage by stage. There's no push button enlightenment. Stage by stage. Stage by stage means if you're a very angry person, recognize that, reduce the intensity of that anger. With one practice, you will not become, a person without anger tomorrow. No. It will become a little bit less, little bit less, little bit less. Stage by stage.
Geshe,
Yeah.
we have a couple of questions
Yes.
that the Russian audience that we are live streaming to have shared for you. But out of those, Geshe, do I have permission to share 2 questions with you?
Yeah, sure.
Geshe, one of the questions is, living in Russia, they're asking that how do I find a teacher if there is none in my country of residence, and can we be guided by an online teacher? Would that be appropriate?
Just for your understanding, online teacher is okay, but if you're really looking for almost like somebody who you can say, this is my teacher, then starting from online teacher is not good, not very good, maybe. But I believe in Russia there are many Dhamma centers. I don't know which part of Russia she is living, because I visited Russia many times, over maybe 10 times or something like that. So I know there are a number of Dhamma centers, yeah.
And Geshe, the next question that another member from the audience from Russia has asked, that Lam Rim is a very important text,
Yes.
in short, medium and long forms, as you explained to us.
Yeah.
And she's asking, how do I figure out which one is the right text for me to begin with as somebody who's beginning to engage with Lam Rim? And how do I combine this reading with my other daily spiritual practices?
If you are Buddhist, all your spiritual practices are connected to this Lam Rim practice. There's no contradiction. And if you are beginner, then start from the shorter one. Try to understand the shorter version, like the foundation of all qualities. Then expand on it. Because these are very, very brief. But then the longer Lam Rim wrote by the same teacher, Tsongkhapa, is in English, available in English right now. So it has 3 big volumes. The outline is same. So there is a detailed explanation. And then there are other shorter versions also, like 1 book, or maybe half a book. There are so many Lam Rims. The Lam Rims are basically same. Yeah. Okay.
Tantra practices are for common people or
People, for anybody but who must receive tantric initiation. If you have done the preliminary practices, and then if you want to do tantric practice, then you should receive the tantric empowerment from a qualified teacher, and then you can do all the visualizations of the deities, visualization of channels, drops, and all those things. Okay? Yeah.
Thank you, Geshe. Can I please ask a quick question on verse 44?
Oh.
It says, and to help benefit fortunate others.
Yeah.
I was not sure what is fortunate here. Are they fortunate because they get help from us, or are they fortunate for some other reason?
Which verse?
Verse 44.
44.
Second line.
Okay. So this word fortunate we used to write in the beginning also. Fortunate means anybody who enters into such a practice and undergoes such a practice, they are fortunate. Because as I already mentioned, it's at least from Buddhist viewpoint, not many people get access to such teaching. Not because it is hidden, but because you don't have the fortune. Right? So therefore you are being able to, practice this. And in fact, we say that you are being able to attend one session of such a teaching is fortunate.
Namaste, Geshe. So, where can we find teachers for tantric initiations, and do different monasteries offer different tantric initiations?
Yeah, some of the big monasteries, they have, senior teachers who give all these tantric empowerments. Yeah, Dharamsala also, His Holiness used to give a lot of tantric empowerments. There are some other teachers also who give tantric empowerments. So you have to see who is giving, who is not giving. I don't know when they are giving. Yeah.
So, how do we find the right one for us?
Huh?
How do we find the right one for us?
Thorasuno, listen about different teachers, study their qualifications, go to Google Baba, type the name of those teachers, you will find out. Yeah.
Just a follow-up question, Geshe.
Yeah.
So on 44, when you say help benefits, the help here is the help of generosity of dharma.
No.
Is it the generosity
Teaching.
of dharma?
Teaching.
Okay.
Dharma teaching, Dharma practice. Not just giving food or things, no. All right. Thank you. Namaskar.
Geshe Geshe, as we come to the close of 5 days of teachings, and these really special teachings with you, on behalf of everyone who's present here and on behalf of the foundation, please accept our deep, deep gratitude to you, Geshe, for being present with us all the way from Dharamsala, for offering us your precious time and for sharing these very valuable teachings on the Lam Rim with us. And Geshe, as one of the things that you taught us in these last few days, we hope that the highest offering that we can make to you, to ourselves, to our teachers, is by actually implementing these teachings into practice in our everyday life. So we'll really strive towards that. And thank you so much, Geshe, and thank you to our wonderful community of friends who've joined us in this journey over the last 5 days. It's been such a pleasure and such a blessing, so thank you very much. We've also been recording all of these sessions, and we would like to thank Singh Klein and Jad sir for very kindly recording all of the sessions with Geshe. We'll be uploading them after slight edits onto our foundation's YouTube channel.